Alright guys, greetings and salutations. We're back at the Sccy Cpx 2. Last update I did was around the 7th of September. That's when I noticed that the frame cracked again at the rear here. I'll get her in. You see that crack right there and right there at the rear pin. And I made a decision then that I would just run this gun until that plastic broke out or something else happened. So my original intention was to run 1,000 rounds to this gun and then give an update unless something happened. And the last video on the Sccy was because something happened, and then I was just going to run that until another failure occurred or until this plastic broke out of the frame. Then I was going to send it back. You know, I've gotten to the point, you know, my initial concerns with this gun was that it, you know, as a reloader, I like to recover my brass, and this gun was throwing brass over a 25-foot square area, you know, and I was losing a lot of brass because it was just pitching it all over the place. Well, I got to the point where I could pretty much predict a general location of where it was going to throw the brass, and I would go to the range and I would clear with my foot a spot for that brass to land in so it wouldn't get lost in all the garbage, because the range that I shoot at is a dirty range. Well, I was out shooting and I ran, I think 70, at about 70 rounds I noticed that it was pitching brass. No longer was it pitching it to the right and forward or to the side. It was pitching it to the left. Well, look at this gun. You know, I'm working around the camera here, so bear with me. Let me pull this through and clear it. Yeah, it's clear. If you notice, you know, it's supposed to kick it to the right. Well, I'm shooting and bullets are going to the left, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So I broke the gun down, and this is what I found. Let me break this down and I'll show you. Do you see what's missing? Right here. This little piece of metal right there is the ejector. You notice it's broken. The ejector broke. Now, it was still ejecting the brass. I mean, the extractor was still pulling the brass out of the gun, but it was no longer discharging the brass to the right like it's supposed to. So this gun's got to go back to Sccy again. So let's do a little recap where we're at right now. Let me throw this together right quick so I don't lose any of the bits. Oh, and if you're wondering what I'm shooting my cast 115 grain cast bullets. These are my reloads. I'm using accurate number 7 grains of powder. The minimum is 6.3 and the maximum is 7.4. So they're not hot loads. They're not plus P. Yeah. So anyway, 115 grain ammo. This gun's rated for plus P intermittently. So it should be able to handle those kind of loads. These are just target loads. So anyway, I've got a total of 544 rounds out of this thing since I took possession of this on the 26th of June. The first time it broke, this pin walked out and the frame cracked in the rear just like this. And that was, I noticed the pin had walked out at 40 rounds, the initial 40 rounds, and at the 80 rounds I had it boxed up and sent back. It came back to me at the end of July. Ran an additional 154 rounds through it, and that's when I noticed this frame had cracked again, and that's when I made a decision that I was going to run it until it came apart in my hands. Additional 280 rounds through it before I noticed the ejector was broken. So that's two failures, two major failures. I shouldn't say failures, two major breakages inside of 500 rounds. So yeah, that's not very cool. And for those of you that would say it's just a $250 gun, you know what? My Sccy was $300. My TP9 was $300, and you know, I'm shooting the same ammo through those. You know, there's anything different about the way I'm shooting this gun versus the other ones. So, you know, is what it is, I suppose. And guys, just to clarify, I'm not a gunsmith. I'm not a gun expert. I'm just a gun enthusiast. I like to shoot. This gun was purchased based on the recommendations of Iraq veteran 8888. At Gun Torture Tests on YouTube here. He's got 6,000 rounds through his at like 4,000 rounds between cleanings. And you know, based on his recommendations and what he's done to that gun, that's why I bought this gun. But you know, invariably, I had one guy comment on the last update video I made, and apparently this guy has got no life because he makes it a point to follow everything. His words, not mine. Everything this guy does, and he's never seen this issue come up on any of the forums. And it must be something I'm doing, and I call bullshit, because you know, every manufacturer realizes that there's going to be a percentage of failure in anything that you make. There's an acceptable failure rate, and it just comes with being human and being in an imperfect world. There's going to be failures. Now, I bought based on recommendations of people who had no problems with their guns. I'm completely aware that people are completely happy with this, but there are, you know, instances where this is happening, and I don't know why. Last video I said it's probably a design flaw. Well, this guy was convinced that Sccy would never release a gun that was dangerous. I'm not saying the gun is dangerous. I'm saying it's at least this gun is unreliable. It's not durable, and it's not because I'm running hot loads or NATO ammo through the thing. I'm running 115 grain ball ammo through the thing. It's what's recommended to run through this thing. So anyway, you know, people like that just kind of pissed me off. I'm sure I'm going to give the guy the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't trying to insult me, but what he was saying and how he was writing it insulted me, and I took offense to it. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but based on my experience with this gun, I can't recommend it. Not that my recommendation means anything, but you know, one thing about YouTube that I like about YouTube is that you can get input from many different sources and get people's opinions. And opinions are like armpits. Everyone's got two, and they usually stink. Maybe mine does too, but based on my experience with this gun, I'm not going to recommend it. I don't trust it. So it's going back to Sccy. I don't have any doubt that Sccy is going to stand behind their product. Their customer service is world class and stellar. I don't have any complaints about the company and the way they treat their customers, and for the most part, I don't really have very many complaints about the gun. I like the way the gun shoots. I don't like the fact that it blows brass all over the place, but I think with a little bit of gunsmithing, a little bit of tinkering, you know, that can be resolved. This isn't really designed to be a range gun, but at the same time, you know, how do you say that you're going to use this for personal defense if you're not proficient in its use? I don't want to have to, if I ever have to, God forbid, draw a gun in my own defense, I don't want to be thinking about what to do next. I want it to be instinctive and to have that, you know, I want to be able to do that without thinking. So, yeah, so we'll look at it again when it comes back. I just wanted to say that for the most part, I do appreciate the feedback that I get on videos. I recognize that I'm not a professional videographer. I'm just a schmuck with a video camera and too much time on my hands. That being said, you know, I share with you the things that I'm interested in, and I wanted to share with my experience with this, and this is my experience with this gun. So, you know, I know that some of you guys have this gun and are completely satisfied with it. I wanted to be. Unfortunately, it looks like I got a dud. But, you know, again, I appreciate the feedback I've been getting. Even the critics, I guess. you'll see this again. We'll keep plugging at it, and we'll see if we can't resolve these issues. But as far as a everyday concealed gun, this ain't gonna be the one, I guess. But I'll keep shooting it. It's fun to shoot. Well, again, thanks for watching. I appreciate the subscription. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead down there and click on the subscribe button if you haven't done so far. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and comment down in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate those. And until the next video, you have yourself a splendid day.